Welcome back to the Britannia Coin Company. We're a coin dealer based in Royal Wootton Bassett in the UK. Now recently there's been a lot of news circulating about a coin that you can find in your change being worth £10,000. That's the Brexit 50p. I think we need to look into this, don't you? First then, the coin. It was minted in 2020 to mark the UK's exit from the European Union after 47 years of membership. The coin has a pretty simple design and was created by Thomas Doherty, a fact that wasn't as easy to track down as most coins. Perhaps with Brexit being a rather divisive topic, he didn't want to be linked with it at the time. Either way, the design features the wording "Peace, Prosperity and Friendship with All Nations," which is a quote of Thomas Jefferson, the third US president. Below the quote is the date of Brexit, the 31st of January 2020. Now remember this, because we'll be coming back to it in a moment. So then, why does everyone think this coin is worth £10,000? Well, apparently one sold on eBay for that price, and a lot of people are taking that as gospel. But if you dig a bit deeper, we can easily find the mintage figures of the coin. The mintage figure is the amount of these coins which were struck, and for this coin for circulation there was 10,001,000 struck and put out into our change. This coin was actually circulated at the request of the Chancellor of the Exchequer, a job that also makes you the master of the Royal Mint. 10 million seems like a lot though, right? It places it between 2006's Victoria Cross, the Heroic Acts, and the year 2000 Public Library's commemorative 50p's. Both these are very common coins that are really only worth their face value though. Of course, there may be instances when a buyer will pay over the face value for common coins. Perhaps they need it to complete a collection or don't have access to UK coins readily and will pay a smidge over the face value for the coin. But £10,000? I think not. What we have here in this news is pretty much a load of nonsense. Every now and again a coin sells for a stupidly inflated price on eBay, and it could be for a number of reasons. Perhaps there were two buyers just winding up a seller only to pull out of the purchase after the auction has ended, or it could be something more sinister like money laundering. Sometimes just because a coin is listed as a set price means it gets national news coverage, but as we all know, you can list whatever you want for whatever price you want, it doesn't mean it's worth that. Whatever the reason, the auction might have finished at this impressive number, but no one is actually paying this much for a common circulating coin. But before you throw your Brexit 50p's back into circulation, there is one very rare error that is actually worth checking for. As most of us will remember, the original deadline for Brexit was set to be the 29th of March 2019. The coins were minted, ready to be put out into circulation, and the trial pieces, effectively experimental versions of the coins, which were created to test that the design works and the coin would function in circulation, were all made ready for the date as requested by the Chancellor. And if you recall, the date of Brexit was minted on the coin. So what happened? Well, Brexit had to be delayed and a new date was set for the 30th of June 2019, giving the government enough time to prepare for Brexit to happen. The coin produced had to be melted down and reproduced with the correct dates. So roll on the 30th of June and yes, once again Brexit was delayed, this time until October 31st, or earlier if everything was sorted out by then. Rather optimistic, right? So roll on October, and once again another extension is approved, this time to January the 31st, 2020. And when the time comes, this time the UK actually leaves the EU, and the coins can be circulated and bought by collectors. But it seems that some of these coins with the alternate dates of Brexit managed to miss the melting pot, and some have found their way into circulation. So check your Brexit 50p's. If it has the wrong date to the bottom, then that is a coin that's going to be worth a fair chunk of change. Not quite £10,000 though, but quite the markup for a 50p, that's for sure. There are other Brexit 50p's that are worth a bit more than the circulating version of it. The coin was released in silver proof, gold proof and gold Piaford proof. Now, a Piaford coin is one which is twice the thickness of a standard proof coin, giving you a bit more of the precious metal to your coin. The value of the metals alone means that these have decent value, but with limited number of these minted, that adds to the collector's value of the coin as well. It was also released in base metal, that is cupra nickel, brilliant uncirculated, or BU quality. This is a standard superior to that which went into our change and allows collectors to buy a higher quality one for their collection. These would have had an unlimited mintage and supplied up to demand. We don't know yet how many were made, as it takes quite a few years for the sales figures for these to come out, and it wasn't long ago that the 2019 sales figures were published, so we might get that information a bit later this year. The BU coin was also released in collector's packs along with a 1973 50p, which had celebrated the UK joining the then EEC. Only 5,000 of these packs were produced for collectors, and they sold out rather quickly. The original retailed at £30 and they now regularly fetch over £100, so that's a decent chunk of profit for sure. What is also interesting about this pack is the error on the back of it. It details the specification of the coins and describes the 1973 coin as a brilliant uncirculated coin, when this wasn't actually the case. Now, this error doesn't really add value to the set itself, it's just a bit of a whoopsie moment. The 1973 50p was the first commemorative 50 pence to commemorate the history of the UK's relationship with the trading bloc. It was designed by David Wynne, and he actually used the hands of his family and friends to create the diverse ring of hands which represent trust and friendship of the nations. Rumour has it though that one hand he omitted from the design was that of his wife. An interesting conversation after the design was finished, I'm sure. The neighbour's hand got on your design, but not your wife? Brave man if you ask me. The coin was a fairly common one, minted for circulation, totaling almost 90 million, but you won't see one in your change now though, because after 1997, the 50p coin was resized and shrunk down to the size of coin we're used to seeing in our change today, so these shouldn't be floating around in circulation anymore. In 1992 and 1993, we see this very exciting coin, which was minted to celebrate the UK's presidency of the European Council of Ministers. It has two dates to the top, 1992 and 1993, as the UK's presidency spanned over these 2 years, meaning it would feature in both of the year's annual coin sets, which is a rather interesting quirk for this coin and why it's commonly referred to as a dual-dated coin. There are of course other coins with multiple years minted onto them, but not for the same reason as this one does. It was also a rather rare coin when circulated, with only 109,000 being put into circulation, which if you compare to the Kew Gardens 50p, which totaled 210,000, that's quite a lot less. Again though, this was a larger sized 50p, so no longer actively circulated, which might be why the Kew Gardens 50p still sells for quite a bit more. The design was created by Mary Milner Dickens and features a conference table covered in stars which are placed to geographically represent the capital cities of the participating countries, and these are linked with lines to indicate the trade between the nations. We then roll on to a 50p that you can actually still find in your change. It was minted in 1998 to mark the 25th anniversary of the UK joining and was created by John Mills. There were quite a few more put into circulation, just over 5 million of them. It is a coin that holds a little over face value to a collector, but only a smidge. It's also substantially rarer than the Brexit 50p, which should help put the values of that coin into perspective. This is then the last coin minted to celebrate the UK being a part of what is now the EU until the 2020 Brexit 50p was struck. Hopefully this video has helped to dispel some of the myths and nonsense going around about the value of this rather common commemorative coin. If as a coin collector you're being hassled by people falling for the fake news, then feel free to send them a link to this video so we can get the truth out there too. Unfortunately, this does happen from time to time. Back in 2020, the same sort of news was spread around about the Battle of Hastings 50p having been sold for £63,000. Quite the increase on the recent news story, but about as accurate as this recent Brexit news was. So place your bets in the comments, what coin will be doing the rounds next? My apologies to anyone who's had their Brexit 50p retirement plans burst by this video. Unfortunately, there's a lot of nonsense news around about coins and you've really got to do your research. But there is still something to look out for on that Brexit 50p, and I know I'll keep checking for it, and I hope you manage to find one too. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. It's free to do and it means you won't miss out on any of our future videos. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where we post lots of pictures of our coins. There are links in the description to some of the products we've featured in today's video over to our website if you want to take a look. And I'll see you next time for more amazing coins from the Britannia Coin Company.